that are here with us to the education, the inspiration, and the artistry that we've been showing you all weekend. For me, when I design the educational program, what I try and do is really look at the needs of the community and the artists in a market and see what we can do to put a spotlight on the talent that exists there, but also maybe provide you with some of the tools that can help you bring your career and your place in the industry to the next level. This next panel is one of my favorites. It's something that I think is essential to understand today, to be able to not only educate yourself, but to market yourself and make your money as a makeup artist. Social media has affected the industry in a way that is, I think, so monumental that very few people really understand it. And the panel of people that we have put together today, I think, are great at that. The first person on our panel today is a gentleman who I find to be not only amazing, but I'm very excited by the way his brain works. The creator of Beautylish, Nils Johnson. And for those of you that don't know Beautylish, I write a weekly column for them. So please check it out and like it and share it with your friends, because I get really upset if I don't see like thousands of likes next to my name. Our next panelist is a gorgeous girl who I met initially in New York City at a blogger event and continues to be a voice on the internet full of integrity and beautiful words. Lovey, Ajayi from lovey.org. And our next panelist probably needs no introduction. She is someone who, when I think about integrity, which is a word I use a lot when I'm talking about the internet, when I think of the way that she writes and the way that she brings people together, she is a superstar in this industry, yet somehow manages to be so humble and always manages to make time for me. No matter what it is, she will be there to inspire everyone around her. From Afrobella, ladies and gentlemen, Patrice. I always, knowing this, I forget the last name, Patrice Grell-Yersin. It took me about a year before I stopped calling her Afrobella. And leading our panel today, she is I have to look up my, did you see where my brain goes?
I know.
With her new book called
11 Beautiful Tools, the Social Media Success Guide for Beauty Professionals.
She is a social media expert and another really wonderful, wonderful voice. When we get together for an interview, I think we end up talking much longer than the allotted time. She will be bringing us through this discussion today, Therese Baskin. It's the end of a long week, guys, so.
Thank you, James. Thank you. So my questions are really not general. Some of them are beauty inspired because that's what we're here for. Some of them have just general branding, business. So I've given them a little bit of them so they know some of it, but they don't know all of it. So if there's any questions, we'll also leave additional time at the end for you to ask your own personal questions because you may have some for them. I always have some for them. So we'll get started. We've already heard their introductions, but let's start with something really simple. When did you each kind of start in social media and get into that space? What was your first recollection of you being in social?
I got into social media back in the Black Planet days.
Black Planet, yes. Give it up.
But I wasn't really active into it, and then I started blogging in 2003. So I've been blogging for 10 years, and that's kind of how the madness started. And I was on Xanga. And then I joined Facebook July 2004, and that's all she wrote. So I've just been in this space for a long time. You trying to play? I'm not 12. I actually
Can't sit there.
Good to go? We can try it again. I think
You can try it again. Take two.
It's a shame to have her wear that skirt and then hide her behind a pole, am I right?
Well, y'all might see
Look
a whole
at
lot
those gams.
Hey, move her closer to the stage. Thank you.
This is why I'm the pretty one, not the smart one.
Great, that should be good. Sorry about that.
So 2004 was my sophomore year of college. Okay. So I'm at the same age as Mark Zuckerberg.
So I'll establish that I'm the oldest person here when I give my social media reference. I think it was like 1997, I met a guy in New York that was working on an idea where he said, you're gonna find out what all of your friends are doing, just like 6 Degrees. You know Kevin Bacon and 6 Degrees? And he started 6degrees.com, and I left that meeting and I thought, this is the stupidest guy I have ever met. Like, nobody wants to get an email showing what all their friends are doing. And fast forward like 2 years later, he sold that company. His name is Andrew Weinrich. He sold that company for over $100 million, and after that, it only took seeing that one time that I realized, like, this is a transformational opportunity. And our roots at Beautylish actually started with, you know, just working on Twitter and building community through social media. So, I mean, after that lesson from Andrew with 6 Degrees, you know, it kind of comes first in everything that we're doing.
My social media stuff really started, when I started my blog, there wasn't that possibility. So there was no Facebook, at least in August of 2006, that I could have been a part of because I was not in college. So, so I'm not sure when they opened that up to everybody. End of that year. So yeah, I mean, I was pretty early into it, but I was already in the working world in print journalism at that time. I remember joining Twitter. I wasn't an early adopter of that particular social media platform, but I remember my friend Nichelle, who's of 55 Secret Street and Vintage Black Glamour, telling me, there's this thing and people are using it like crazy and you should, why aren't you on Twitter? So I think it was right around the time that I was still at my job, so this must have been 2008, something around there. Yeah, and then, you know, it was pretty early for me anyway. And then after that, that taught me, okay, every single social media platform, I want to be an early adopter in it and at least lock down the name if I'm not using it, at least to be part of it from an earlier stage. So.
Great. So we're going to talk about branding in a second because that's a big one. So I love that. What's your most dominant platform? Because everybody, like you said, you don't use them all, and not everybody should. I mean, and everybody's got a different flavor of what they like. What's your most dominant platform? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is it?
Twitter is mine. Yeah, I was a late adopter to Instagram as well because I didn't have like anything, and then, you know, for a while it was like that, and now it's, you know, you can use Android. But yeah, Twitter is my most popular platform. I do have a Facebook page that does pretty well, but yeah, Twitter is my preference.
Twitter is my preference, but I use Twitter and Facebook differently. So I spent more time on Twitter, but I use Facebook a lot.
So for Beautylish, I would say Twitter is the one that we started with, and that's still where we are probably the most active. And one of the reasons is, you know, when you look at the purpose of different social media channels, it started off with building community for us, and I think that's how we originally even got in touch with Patrice, was just on Twitter, and so that's kind of naturally where the conversation lies. The part that's growing the fastest for us is probably Pinterest, because beauty is so visual. People love taking our images and sharing them other places, and so Pinterest is probably the fastest growing, but Twitter is the one you know, that we started with, and is probably still most active from a conversation standpoint.
Right. Okay. So since we touched on that conversation about images, beauty is all about images. What can you say to artists who are shy about taking a photo when they are at a job, or, you know, that conversation of, can I get that photo from a photographer, or can I take a picture myself and be able to share it instantly? Because that's the thing that's perishable, that they don't always get a hold of. Can you speak to how, you know, images are really going to be that biting thing? Like on Beautylish, I'm always staring at pictures.
I see so many makeup artists, and I talk to so many makeup artists who are hesitant to ask a client for an image, or to, you know, to take an image with themselves and the client or something like that. And I just feel like when you let your work walk out the door, you've wasted that opportunity. And even though it might be really scary and something that you hesitate to do, you spent the work, you know, you did the time, you made this person beautiful. This is what speaks to your ability. And when that gets up and leaves your chair, then what do you have to show for the beautiful work that you've done? You know, so whether I think a lot of people also need to take it a little bit more seriously, because